I want to begin with Rajdeep Sardesai, our consulting editor. Rajdeep, you've been on ground over the last couple of days. What do you make? What are the X factors? Who has the edge going in on the first phase of polling?
You know, first time I came to Bihar was 1995, Preeti, and that's when I learned of a MY factor called Muslim Yadav, who largely remained at the time with Lalu Prasad. 30 years later, back in Bihar, there's a new MY in town, Mahila and Yuva. No doubt in my mind that these are the two key demographics that will decide Bihar. Bihar is one of the youngest, if not the youngest demographic of voters. About 22% of them are in that age group of 18 to 29. And if you look under 40, it's 53%. It's a vote bank which is being targeted by Prashant, Kishor, the disruptor. It's being targeted by Tejashwi Yadav. And then you've got the Mahila vote, which is clearly the core vote bank in a way of Nitish Kumar. What he has consciously tried to cultivate in 20 years in power through a series of measures. The most recent, of course, being the 10,000 rupees that have been provided to over 1.4 crores Jivika Ditis. And the payments are even going on as the election campaign is going on. So I believe if there is a large woman turnout, advantage NDA, no doubt in my mind about that. If on the other hand, the male turnout is higher, then can Tejashwi Yadav do what he did 5 years ago and get a large chunk of the youth vote? I believe Prashant Kishor is consciously targeting that vote and therefore will get a sizable section. We don't know how much, but a sizable section of the male youth vote. So I think these are the two key factors, keeping in mind that in 2020, there were about 50 plus constituencies where the margin was just under 5,000. So I expect the big change, of course, that I've seen this time, unlike 5 years ago. 5 years ago, post-COVID, Preeti, I saw genuine anger on the ground. There was narazgi, there was disaffection. Now there is fatigue, but I don't see narazgi. And I think that is something that could hold the NDA in good stead. There isn't that sharp, hyper anti-incumbency that we saw 5 years ago. On the other hand, of course, because in some places you have triangular contests and because you have a new disruptor, we just don't know whose votes he will take. That might give some hope to the Mahagathbandhan. But the way I see it is that we are in an election in Bihar where the real choice that voters have is, do you want the status quo or do you want badlav? And I believe a large number of voters are still looking at status quo rather than badlav, as I saw 5 years ago when, as I said, post-COVID, there was genuine narazgi on the ground.
Also, Rajdeep, you practically stated there that the NDA has the edge as per you going into the first phase where 121 seats are concerned. I would recognize, bring in Maria for someone who knows Bihar, who belongs to Bihar, comes from here, has studied its politics very closely. There are, Maria, this has to be one of the most complex elections that one has covered. There are multiple layers to it. Rajdeep says, he's going to be closely watching the MY factor. And actually, my perspective in all of this, Maria, is also that one needs to closely look at the caste dynamics. Very often we say that we speak too much when it comes, when it comes down to caste in the state of Bihar. But the vote is caste in Bihar. I have traveled across now 7-8 districts, and everywhere I have gone, it does seem that the caste fault lines are so well entrenched that at many places, if people actually want change, they are looking at a negative vote to actually defeat a particular caste than to just vote their own. So it ultimately is coming in on caste lines, Maria. What have you picked up?
Absolutely. Absolutely, Preeti. Caste remains the dominant issue in Bihar, as it has been in multiple elections. Only demographic which seems to be caste neutral is even today the Mahila of Bihar, not as much as youth, according to my reading. But the irony is, as Rajdeep rightly pointed out, that this is the youngest state based on its demographics, and this state is still voting on the basis of the memories. So the youngest state will go to polls on 6th and 11th, but it's the memories of the two leaders of JP movement 20 years of Nitish Kumar and 15 years of Lalu Yadav, which is still dominating the narrative. For if you are in your caste blocks, you are looking at it from that prism. So for women of Bihar, they are talking about not just this 10,000 which has come into their accounts just ahead of elections and in between elections. They are also talking about how Nitish Kumar nurtured them consistently. So this 10,000 is only ensuring that fatigue is neutralized and giving them another reason to vote for Nitish Kumar. Now looking at the contradictions, among the caste groups, I'm also sensing a lot of contradictions, and that's what is making this election intriguing at the same time. The Yadav constituency is usually known to be vociferous. They are tactically silent this time. The silent voters of Nitish Kumar are loud, speaking about the good work of Nitish and at the same time talking about what happened 20 years ago in the alleged, Jungle Raj years of Lalu Yadav. So I would say that those contradictions that you are sensing in the behavioral pattern of various caste groups make these elections complex. Largely, Nitish Kumar remains the dominant image of this election. He is the overarching theme, even as in certain pockets, elections become localized.